are live at the Alexander Elementary School in Tampa, Florida. And here with us now, joining the conversation, the former Republican governor of Florida, who's got some big news in his state today, Jeb Bush, who actually is in New York today.
Jeb's in New York.
What's that?
Jeb, we're all down here, buddy.
We were here for you.
I didn't get the memo.
Wait, I was looking around. Where's
Okay.
Jeb Bush? And
So, Jeb, obviously the education community across America was buzzing all day yesterday about what happened in the state of Florida. Obviously, you talked education. It was a battle for you from day one. What do you think about this Senate bill that passed that actually is going to tie pay to teacher performance?
I think it's a great bill. Implemented right, it will make the teaching profession truly a profession. It's going to take time to get the right data in place to be able to accurately measure learning gains for students across the board, across all courses. But we have great learning gains in Florida. You saw the NAEP scores this week. The net result is schools like Alexander Elementary, which has a large Hispanic population, is leading the nation in terms of being able to show that all kids can learn. Florida Hispanic students are above the average in more than 30 states now. I mean, this is a phenomenal occurrence that is really the result of great leaders like the principal at that school and great teachers, and this bill will only enhance that. And by the way, pretty good superintendent down there, too.
we'll be meeting them.
Governor, in talking about implementation of the bill, a lot of teachers I found over the years, the best teachers teach in the toughest situations. And so let's say in terms of the implementation of this bill, you have 10 students and 3 teachers. 3 of the students are terrific. They come from terrific homes. There are 7 students, like it's a 100-yard dash. 7 of them are starting the 100-yard dash all equally, but carrying various forms of weight on their backs, from 10 to 50 pounds. Tough environment that they're coming from. How do you fine or penalize a teacher for lack of performance on the part of the student when the environment that the student comes from is just a huge weight when they arrive at school? How do you do that?
Well, one of the ways you do it based on learning gains, not based on proficiency, on how the number of students that are reaching grade level at the end of the year. You measure. You have a baseline. In Florida, we have great data, so we can measure where students start and where they end. And a year's worth of knowledge in a year's time, irrespective of the background of a child, can be achieved. In fact, if you look at the last 10 years in Florida, the reason why we've had such significant gains is, and the reason why we're the only state, other than maybe one other, that has closed the achievement gap based on race and ethnicity and income, is because we've thrown away the tired old notion that some kids can learn and some kids can't, irrespective of the circumstances of their family. In Florida, teachers have proven that all kids can learn. So you measure based on learning gains, not based on proficiencies. And I think that creates an equitable way of measuring performance. And there's going to be a lot more, over time, a lot more testing in a way that measures not just reading and math, but other things as well.
You know, Jeb, I remember being with you right after you got elected in 1998. And you said to me, you know what, we're going to take on the special interests when it comes to education. We're going to fight for kids. We're going to try to reform education. It was a very, very tough environment. But what we've seen over the past year, whether you're talking to people in the Obama administration, Arne Duncan, whether you're talking to people up in Harlem, down in New Orleans, in Hillsborough County, there really is this energy, this vitality. And it feels like something really big is about to change. Are you feeling that same feeling?
Well, first of all, I'm glad we're not talking about health care today or other things going on in Washington, because there are huge disagreements amongst a lot of people about that. But I think Secretary Duncan and President Obama deserve credit for, A, challenging a really powerful core constituency in their own party, but B, more importantly, putting students first rather than the adults in the system. And so there's all sorts of common ground now that is very exciting. And I think that is perhaps one of the reasons why there's a lot of new energy around this. But charter schools in places that historically haven't had them, a more, a stronger form of accountability, a real focus on children that lag behind has yielded incredible results in places like Florida. New York City is an awesome example of how, if you bring about reform, you can unleash the talent of a lot of adults to make sure that students learn. And so that's happening now more often across the country, and it's very exciting.
Mike Barnicle.
Hey, Governor, over the course of the last 4 decades, this country has expanded civil rights for everyone in this land. With the signing of a health bill the other day, no matter your position on the bill itself, we have technically expanded the rights to health for many Americans. What do you think it would take to expand educational rights for poor parents through a voucher system?
Don't get me going. I'm all for it, man. I have absolutely no problems with expanding choices for parents that don't have them because they don't have a big bank account. Florida has the largest school choice programs in the country, both private and public. We have the largest universal pre-K program, that is the majority of which public dollars go to pay for private pre-K work for kids. I think we should expand those choices. The research is in Florida at least, and that is that public schools get better, and so do parents, so do students' chances to be successful when they make a private choice. It's not a zero-sum game. It lifts all boats, and it seems to me that that is an empowerment question, it's a moral question, but it also improves public schools.
You know, we've been working, Mika and I have been working with some schools up in Harlem. Obviously, Al Sharpton's going to be on this show later on today.
Yeah.
And again, it's very exciting, the people that are coming together on this issue. I guess when you walk into a charter school and you see that a student that starts in 5th grade has 1st or 2nd grade test scores in math, and then when they leave in 8th grade, at least at the charter schools that we go, some of them have 100% proficiency in math, higher test scores in the richest neighborhoods across New York State. I guess the ultimate question, Jeb, is how do we take what we learn in public charter schools and apply them generally to public schools down the road? So kids that don't draw the right number in the lottery in Harlem eventually will get the same education that kids inside charter schools get. How do we do that?
Well, first of all, charter schools are independent public schools. They're still public schools. They have to take all comers, and they should, their innovations, if they yield higher student achievement, they should be embraced by the leadership in school districts all across the country. That doesn't necessarily happen, but accountability brings that more often than not, Joe. If you actually measure student performance accurately, and one school with like-kind kids does significantly better than another school, it cries out for change. And in fact, if you have an accountability system that has a different consequence between improvement, constant, continuous improvement, and mediocrity or even abject failure, that there's a different consequence, the system has a different result for that. By definition, you're going to apply, when one school doesn't do well, you're going to apply the successful methods. And it's just beginning to happen. It's not been quick because monopolies don't adjust as fast as market kind of conditions. And we're always going to have public schools. And I think that now innovations are being embraced. Another way that I think will accelerate this is through technology. The schools that use virtual learning as an enhancement to the great work being done in the classroom will be able to accelerate those kinds of reforms faster.
All right. Hey, Jeb, thank you so much for being on. And not a single question about health care reform, but of course, per your request, you wanted to answer the question, Charlie Crist or Marco Rubio. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
You know what? Let me tell you what I did last night. I went to West Side Story. My first date with my wife 36 years ago was seeing the movie, and I came back. I cried the whole time with my beloved wife, Palumba. This is a great city, New York City. How about that as an answer?
Boy, that's a good answer,
nice.
Jeb.
That's romantic.
We'll take it.
It's cute.
All right.
It's not an answer.
Thanks a lot. We appreciate it, Jeb. We really greatly appreciate you being with us. on the town hall meeting.
Thank you. You know what's interesting about the charters is there's so many studies out there that are controversial and everybody's trying to knock them down. But the study about the kids who got in versus the kids who wanted to get in and didn't, and how they did.
There's a huge difference. I do want to say really quickly, Mike, and we got to go, but before we go to break, here's the biggest challenge with the Florida law, because I believe in accountability. I think teachers need to be held accountable. Parents, everybody does. The biggest problem, though, is let's take the schools that we go to in Harlem. What if you're a fifth grade teacher and you're getting kids that have first grade learning? Yeah. Sometimes it takes you fifth grade and then sixth grade and seventh. And we find by the time they get to eighth grade, boom, they take off. Do you just reward the eighth grade teacher while the people that built the foundation in fifth, sixth, and seventh grade don't get that credit? That's the real challenge here. And if we're going to reward teachers, I think we've got to do it in a holistic way and not just look what's happening in this specific classroom, because those numbers aren't always going to add up.
No, 7 out of 10 kids when they arrive at school in the morning with that weight on their back.